Hi folks and welcome back to another episode of the Pub Quiz, your weekly fix for general knowledge questions and trivia fun facts. If you're new here, I'm Alan, your regular quizmaster and host. Now, you can either play against me and try and beat my score, and I'll keep you up to date as we go through the quiz, or if you're a man down or fancy an extra man in your team, you can add your score to mine and combine it to make a team score. Right, let's see what's in today's quiz. Today's quiz is over 6 rounds. It features 75 questions and it's 1 point for each correct answer. A score of over 40 is good, but a score of over 60, that's excellent. Round 1 is your easy quickfire trivia round. Good luck, let's crack on with the quiz. Quiz question number 1. The Mustang is a free-roaming breed of which animal? It is a breed of horse. Question 2. Who was the god of thunder in Norse mythology? The correct answer here was Thor. Question 3. Claudia Winkleman hosts the UK version of which reality game show set in a Scottish castle? That would be The Traitors. Question 4. According to the proverb, actions speak louder than what? They speak louder than words. Question 5. In which board game do players buy properties and build houses and hotels on them? That would be Monopoly. Question 6. Seattle Grace Hospital is the setting for which US medical drama? It is the setting for Grey's Anatomy. Question 7. Irvin Magic Johnson was a famous name in which sport? He was a famous basketball player. Question 8. The Roman numerals XX represent which number? They represent the number 20. Question 9. Fans of which music superstar are known as the Beehive? They are fans of Beyoncé. And quiz question 10. Farfalle, fusilli and vermicelli are all types of which foodstuff? They are all types of pasta. I scored 9 out of 10 in that round. Unfortunately, I went for ER for the medical drama. Round 2 this week is called Money Talks. Quiz question 11. Which company introduced the system of traveller's checks in 1891? Was that American Express, the US Postal Service, or Western Union? It was American Express. They launched the traveller's cheque after one of their executives got stranded in Europe because he couldn't cash a regular cheque. It became the go-to global travel payment for over a century. Question 12. In the world of companies floating shares on the stock exchange, what does the term IPO stand for? It stands for Initial Public Offering. Question 13. Satoshi Nakamoto introduced the world to what cryptocurrency in 2009? The correct answer was Bitcoin. Question 14. The rogue trader Nick Leeson brought down which international trading bank in 1995? Was that Barings Bank, Lehman Brothers, or Northern Rock? He brought down Barings Bank. Leeson's unauthorised trading in Singapore led to £827 million in losses, collapsing Britain's oldest merchant bank, founded in 1762. Question 15. In what year did the dot-com bubble burst? Was that in 1998, 2000 or 2002? It burst in the year 2000. Question 16. In what decade of the 20th century did the Wall Street crash trigger the Great Depression? That was in the 1920s. Question 17. Alongside Switzerland, what is the only other country that uses the Swiss franc as its official currency? Would that be Andorra, Liechtenstein, or Luxembourg? It is actually Liechtenstein. The Swiss franc is considered one of the world's most stable currencies. Switzerland's long-standing political neutrality, strong banking system and low inflation make the franc a safe haven that investors flock to during global crisis. Question 18. Which country introduced the world's first polymer banknotes in 1988? Was that Australia, Canada, or New Zealand? They were first introduced by Australia. Question 19. What animal is often used as a symbol of a declining stock market? That is known as a bear market. And quiz question 20. What does the word mortgage literally mean in Old French? Does it mean death pledge, life payment, or property debt? It means death pledge. A death pledge deal only ends when the debt is fully repaid or the owner dies. 7 out of 10 for me there. Hopefully you did better. Round 3 this week is all about bingeable box sets. Quiz question 21. Which Netflix series is set in the fictional Colombian town of San Pedro and dramatised the rise and fall of Pablo Escobar and the Medellin cartel? That was the TV show Narcos. Question 22. Which Apple TV drama stars Jennifer Aniston and Reese Witherspoon as rival anchors on a breakfast news show? That one was called The Morning Show. The Morning Show tackles power, rivalry and gender politics behind the scenes of a major US breakfast-style news programme, with its storylines deeply shaped by the Me Too movement and its aftermath. Question 23. In the series Ozark, which of these businesses did Marty Byrde eventually use to launder drug cartel money? Was that a casino, construction company, or a lumber company? It was a casino. Question 24. Which UK drama follows police corruption inside the fictional anti-corruption unit AC-12? Was that The Bodyguard, Broadchurch, or Line of Duty? The correct answer was Line of Duty. Question 25. Harvey Specter and Mike Ross are the main characters in which US legal drama? Were they in Boston Legal, Suits, or The Good Wife? The correct answer is Suits. Question 26. King's Landing, Winterfell and Casterly Rock are all fictional locations in which HBO fantasy series? They are all locations in Game of Thrones. Between 2012 and 2019, Game of Thrones was the most pirated TV show in the world. Despite that, it still became one of HBO's biggest ever hits, with the final season averaging over 44 million viewers across all platforms. Question 27. Which Netflix miniseries stars Anna Taylor-Joy as chess prodigy Beth Harmon? That was called The Queen's Gambit. Question 28. Which Netflix series follows a modern-day gentleman thief in Paris who plans elaborate heists to avenge his father's death? Is that called Emily in Paris, Lupin, or Money Heist? It is called Lupin. Lupin is inspired by the classic French gentleman thief Arsène Lupin, created by Maurice Leblanc in 1905, and literary icon often compared to Sherlock Holmes for his cleverness and charm. Question 29. British actress Jodie Comer played the psychopathic assassin Villanelle in which BBC spy thriller? That was Killing Eve. And quiz question 30. In the TV show Peaky Blinders, what is the name of the pub the Shelbys use as their business front and stronghold? It is called the Garrison. Not terrible, another 7 out of 10 for me. Round 4 this week is your Picture It round, and it is Name the Artist. Now, it's not their most famous paintings, so you might have to guess by the style. Good luck. Quiz question 31. Can you name the artist? The artist here is Jackson Pollock, and the picture is Blue Poles. Question 32. This one is by Vincent van Gogh, and it's Bedroom in Arles. Question 33. The artist is Edward Hopper and the painting is Early Sunday Morning. Hopper said the painting isn't of any real New York street. He invented it from memory and imagination, capturing what he called the sense of an empty city before anyone wakes up. Question 34. That is by Claude Monet and it's called Women with a Parasol. Question 35. That is Salvador Dali and its Metamorphosis of Narcissus. Question 36. That is by Toulouse-Lautrec and it's called At the Moulin Rouge. Long before modern posters, Lautrec turned his cabaret paintings into advertising prints, effectively inventing the artist as brand and shaping how we still market nightlife and entertainment today. Question 37. The painting is A Bigger Splash by David Hockney. Question 38. That is Pablo Picasso's The Three Musicians. Question 39. That is Broadway Boogie Woogie by Piet Mondrian. And quiz question 40. That is called Primavera by Sandro Botticelli. There seems to be a theme this week. That was another 7 out of 10 for me. Round 5 is a music round and it's called Lyrics from the 60s. Can you name the artist or band from these lyrics? What's question 41? Can you match the artist or band to these lyrics? That was Help by the Beatles. Question 42. That is Homeward Bound by Simon and Garfunkel. Paul Simon wrote Homeward Bound while stranded at a railway station in Widnes in England after missing a train following a local gig. There's even a plaque on the platform today marking the spot where he is said to have written the song. Question 43. That is Be My Baby by the Ronettes. Question 44. That is called Bad Moon Rising by Creedence Clearwater Revival. Question 45. That is the classic Stand By Me by Benny King. Released in 1961, Stand By Me was inspired by an old gospel hymn and became one of the most enduring songs of all time. It's been covered over 400 times and has charted in 3 different decades. Question 46. That's You've Lost That Lovin' Feeling by the Righteous Brothers. Question 47. That's I've Got You Babe by Sonny and Cher. Question 48. That is Big Spender by Peggy Lee. Question 49. That is Daydream Believer by the Monkees. Although the band was originally created for a TV show, they became so popular that they started writing and playing their own music. In 1967, they outsold both the Beatles and the Rolling Stones combined in the US. What's question 50? That is Do a Diddy Diddy by Manfred Mann. What's question 51? Which Italian fashion house uses the head of a Medusa as its trademark? Would that be Gucci, Prada, or Versace? The correct answer is Versace. Question 52. Which fictional literary character travelled through both Lilliput and Brobdingnag? That was Lemuel Gulliver. Gulliver's Travels was written as a political satire, mocking the small-mindedness and arrogance of British politics, but readers loved it so much they treated it like a simple adventure story. Swift was horrified that most people missed the satire entirely. Question 53. Which of Shakespeare's comedies features a heroine named Hero? That is Much Ado About Nothing. Question 54. The internal angles of a quadrilateral add up to how many degrees? Would that be 180, 270, or 360 degrees? The correct answer is 360. Question 55. Which world-renowned elite military unit was founded by Scots Guard David Stirling in 1941? That was the SAS. Formed during World War II, the SAS began as a small commando unit carrying out daring raids behind enemy lines in North Africa, and went on to become one of the most respected special forces in the world. Question 56. Which author wrote the Dune series of novels? Was that Arthur C. Clarke, Frank Herbert, or Isaac Asimov? They were written by Frank Herbert. Question 57. Which Tchaikovsky ballet features the characters Princess Odette and the magician Rothbart? They feature in Swan Lake. Question 58. In which part of the body would you find the cuneiform and cuboid bones? Would you find them in the foot, hand, or spine? You would find them in your foot. These bones are located in the midfoot and help form the arches that support balance and movement. Question 59. Which country, made up of over 13,000 islands, forms the world's largest archipelago? That is Indonesia. Question 60. Which German poet wrote Ode to Joy, later set to music by Beethoven in 1785? Was that Bertolt Brecht, Friedrich Schiller, or Heinrich Heine? It was written by Friedrich Schiller. Beethoven used Schiller's Ode to Joy in the final movement of his Ninth Symphony, creating one of the most recognisable melodies in classical music. It later became the official anthem of the European Union, a symbol of unity and brotherhood. Question 61. The oboe and the bassoon belong to which family of musical instruments? They belong to the woodwind family. Question 62. Frida Kahlo was twice married to which other Mexican artist? She was married to Diego Rivera. Kahlo and Rivera's relationship was famously passionate and turbulent. They married in 1929, divorced in 1939, and remarried a year later. Both became icons of Mexican art and culture. Question 63. What season does the poet John Keats describe as a season of mists and mellow fruitfulness? Would that be spring, summer, or autumn? It is from his poem Ode to Autumn. Question 64. On a TV or film set, the gaffer is the crew member chiefly responsible for which technical setup? Would that be audio gear, camera rigs, or lighting systems? He is responsible for the lighting systems. The gaffer is the head electrician on set, responsible for planning and setting up all lighting to achieve the desired look for each scene. Question 65. In which city would you find Sugarloaf Mountain? You would find it in Rio de Janeiro. Question 66. Pyrophobia is a fear of what? It is a fear of fire. Question 67. Espumante is a sparkling wine from which country? Is it from Argentina, Portugal, or Spain? It is from Portugal. Question 68. The wedding song Here Comes the Bride was composed by which classical composer? Was that Mozart, Mendelssohn, or Wagner? It was composed by Wagner. The piece, officially titled The Bridal Chorus, comes from Wagner's 1850 opera Lohengrin. It is traditionally played when the bride walks down the aisle at her wedding. Question 69. Seasonal allergic rhinitis, often caused by pollen, is more commonly known by what name? It is more commonly known as hay fever. Question 70. What name is given to the technique of growing plants in a liquid nutrient solution rather than soil? Is that aquaponics, hydroponics, or soluponics? It is called hydroponics. Question 71. What name is given to the number 1 followed by 100 zeros? That is called a Google. The word Google was coined by a 9-year-old in 1938, and it later inspired the name of the tech giant Google, which was actually a misspelling. Question 72. What is the name of the assembly of cardinals that meets in the Vatican to elect a new pope? Is that a conclave, a congregation, or a consistory? It is called a conclave. The term conclave comes from the Latin with a key, because the cardinals are literally locked inside the Vatican during the election, until white smoke from the Sistine Chapel signals a new pope has been chosen. Question 73. For what film did Paul Newman win his only acting Oscar? Was that The Colour of Money, The Hustler, or The Sting? He won it for The Colour of Money. Question 74. Which percussion instrument, consisting of tuned metal bars, takes its name from the German word meaning bell and play? That would be a glockenspiel. And quiz question 75. During the sun's process of nuclear fusion, hydrogen is turned into what other gas? It is turned into helium. In the sun's core, about 600 million tonnes of hydrogen nuclei fuse into helium nuclei every second. In the process, a small amount of mass is converted into energy, producing the immense power that fuels all our sunlight. That concludes today's quiz. I scored 20 in that round, giving me a total of 57 points with the bonus. Remember to let me know your score in the comments below. I'll leave you with that final bonus question on screen, worth 2 extra points. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and if you're ready for another quiz challenge, why not try out one of these quizzes right here? Bye for now.